Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with a look at the upcoming winter weather event across portions of the northeastern United States over the next several days. Here we are looking at a visible satellite shot over the last couple of hours. We have some wintry precipitation already ongoing across portions of the northeastern United States. That's not going to be our primary focus today. However, we are going to start to take a look at a more serious winter storm, potentially even blizzard event coming for portions of the Northeast, with over 1 foot of snow possible for locations across the Northeast, mainly across portions of Pennsylvania, all the way up in through southern Maine across the corridor there. Now, today, what's going on is that we have kind of this area of low pressure generally well off towards the north right now. This is kind of skirting generally off towards the north and east at a fairly good clip here, and that should be allowing for some forcing out in this region for some showers and convection. And generally, that's what we've been seeing. And on the backside of this, obviously, we do have some cooler weather, allowing for some isolated transition between rain and snow. Although the snow amounts generally maybe 1 to 2 inches, not really expecting too much. Now, what's going to be happening over the next several days or so is that we actually have a winter storm watch that is in effect for portions generally of the Northeast. And we can see this is what's going to be happening here. We have winter weather advisories across portions and over towards Kansas and even into Nebraska. And that's because we're going to be getting cyclogenesis or Lee's cyclogenesis across this region. Big low pressure region, it's going to kind of come across and follow something much like that. And you're going to start to see kind of this low developed track right across this region and move up something like that. And on the back side of this, you're going to see a winter storm potentially across this region with isolated amounts that could get closer to 14 or 15 inches of snow, so well over that foot range of snow. Now, there are winter weather advisories currently in effect, and that's because of today's conditions across portions of Pennsylvania and really kind of across the Delmar, etc. Those conditions will be improving throughout the day, and then in through tomorrow. But really, the worst of the conditions associated with the second round in this bigger storm system comes mid to late week. Really thinking about Wednesday into Thursday and potentially even Friday, that this is going to take shape here. So if you actually look here at the models today, this is the GFS forecast, the 12Z run valid for 18Z or 1 p.m. this afternoon. So this is roughly at about really about an hour and a half ago at this point. And what you'll start to notice here is, again, we have this wintry precipitation here happening today. And again, this is our area of low pressure here. And around this area, you've got rain, just plain rain. And we made a forecast on this several days ago that we were thinking that this was going to be a mainly rain event for portions of the South. That is what, or really portions towards like Long Island, etc. That's what it's really turned into. And you can see that the snow amounts, even as the low deepens here, there's just not enough cool air coming down on the back side of this to really transition this to a mainly a heavier snow event. Now, there could still be some heavy wet snow that does fall, and obviously some snow showers and flurries across this region lasting into tomorrow morning. But in terms of a prolonged, very heavy snow event, that comes later in the week. So let's kind of get to that now. So you can see the GFS forecast does bring a fairly significant snowstorm event, this area of low pressure that begins to develop and then tracks out across here and begins to deepen again in the Gulf Stream. And what this is going to do is on the back side of this, you can see there's enough forcing now because we also have more dynamic forcing from the north bringing in all of this cold air. And given that, we are likely to see this low rapidly deepen into like a bomb cyclone almost. And what it's going to end up doing is dumping a tremendous amount of snow. You can see this very heavy fine line of snow across portions of Pennsylvania, all the way up in through portions of Long Island, and even all the way up into Rhode Island. And this will persist then and moves over towards like Boston, Massachusetts. And again, you can see where there's a very fine line between this heavy rain. This is all heavy rain, and this is all heavy wet snow, and just heavy snow in general. And what this is going to do is on the back side of this, again, that really cold air rushing down. If we take a look here at the NAM, this is the NAM forecast, and again, this is looking further, a little bit further out in time. So we'll kind of run this back. This is today's conditions, and you'll notice how that heavy, that heavy wet snow persists and moves out by really tonight and tomorrow. And then we start to get into Wednesday, and here is what we're looking at. So this is by really by 7 p.m. on December 16th. So we're looking, we're looking at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. We're going to start to see this snow begin to approach portions like Long Island, over towards Boston, etc. Now, places that are further east or really further towards the northeast are going to have to wait a little while because, again, this area of low pressure is not going to be moving. It's not going to be in that area to provide enough forcing and enough ascent for those snow showers right away. However, you can definitely notice where our very heavy rain or very heavy snowfall is across the likes of Pennsylvania and all the way in through Long Island. Now, what you'll notice is that this area of low pressure begins to move further towards the north and east, which starts off mainly as an all snow or a mix of a rain snow combination over there in places like Long Island and even down there in the Delmar. We start to see that transition into more of a mixed precipitation type or all rain. And that is because the temperatures will be a little too warm to actually provide for enough significant snow across that region. And what you'll actually start to notice is that is very heavy snowfall that actually is falling across this area, really across the north here. We're going to be seeing a very heavy snow event. And this could extend well towards the north and east, all the way up into southern and central Maine with the parameters there. Now, if we look here at the 3 kilometer NAM, this is again a higher resolution model, and we can really see here that what we're kind of noticing here is this only goes up to 60 hours from now. So that, again, this is the same time, 7 p.m. on Wednesday. But notice all this very heavy snowfall that's occurring here across portions of Pennsylvania. Now, the further away you get from the heaviest snow corridor, which should be, we're expecting kind of the heaviest snow corridor to be kind of roughly around this area. But the further you get towards the west of that or east of there, you're going to start to run into less snowfall. And again, areas south here, like towards Long Island, down here, generally going to be experiencing either mixed precipitation phases or just plain rain. And that's because generally the temperatures, and we'll look at that here in a moment. Now, in terms of the likes of the Euro model, this is the European forecast. Again, showing much of the similar solution here. You notice how it is a very deep line here of snow and then really quickly transitions into a rain snow and then mainly an all rain event. And you can actually notice how this even continues, but again, towards like places like Long Island over there, Boston, Massachusetts, even upstate Pennsylvania, could see a tremendous amount of snow. And you'll notice here Long Island is on that rain snow mix here where you could see some rain or you could see some snow. And the potential does exist for a more significant snowfall event than currently anticipated across portions of Long Island. The European ensembles are generally forecasting 7 to 8 inches of snow across portions of Long Island. So 7 to 8 inches is not out of the realm of possibility for places like over towards like Long Island. But what you'll definitely notice here is that the heaviest corridor of snow is going to be concentrated here a little bit towards the north and west of that actual area of low pressure. Now, if we actually look here at the total accumulated snowfall potential here coming off the European, there is some amounts here that go upwards of 24 to 25 inches in some of those higher elevation spots. So maybe upwards of about 2 feet of snow possible across some of these areas. And even out towards like Long Island, you can see consistently 17 inches of snow potentially, but a very, very sharp gradient here. So what does models like the UK Met model suggest? Well, this is the UK Met model. Generally going with much of the same here, generally speaking, upwards, closer again, maybe upwards of 2 feet potentially for portions of Rhode Island and near Boston, Massachusetts. And maybe only as low as about 4.5 inches over towards Long Island. But you look out there towards like Pennsylvania, etc., a very heavy snowfall event is setting up across this region. Now we talked about the temperatures here, and we can see this here very well illustrated on the one of the forecast models here, and this is, I believe, the NAM, and this is 57 hours from now, so this is Wednesday at 21 Zulu time. You'll notice that the temperatures across the region a pretty big difference here. We start to look down towards like Long Island, we see a temperature of 38 degrees Fahrenheit, or modeled at 38 degrees Fahrenheit. When you go up to Albany, New York, you start to see a temperature of 23, and Boston, Massachusetts, a temperature of 29 degrees. So definitely seems to be some cooler air back in here. Now we'll shift this forward to roughly about 3Z in the morning on Thursday, so 63 hours from now. We see that there's an even bigger temperature spread here. The Long Island area towards the Montauk Highway, roughly at about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Boston, Massachusetts at 30 degrees, and Albany, New York at about 22 degrees here. That's modeled on the NAM. And this is definitely suggesting that there could be a concentration of definitely heavier snow that falls across this area. Now, the forecast that we're kind of going for right now, the forecast that I have made, this is for the mid to late week winter storm event. Now, anywhere from Pittsburgh, anywhere in this blue, in this all blue shading, this is an all snow event. So, places like Pittsburgh, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Boston, Massachusetts, even towards Lebanon, uh, again Albany, and even up there, closer towards portions of northern Cape Cod, you definitely could see the chance for an all snow event. And this is what we're painting right now, an all snow event likely across portions of those areas. Now, across portions of West Virginia into Virginia and the Delmar and Long Island and southern Cape Cod could see this rain snow mix line here. Now, what I mean by this is that this could be anywhere, any precipitation type from sleet to rain to snow. So there's kind of some discrepancy in this area, but generally, some likelihood, some variation of a snow event is possible for these areas, but we're likely going to be seeing a transition between snow and rain. And you can definitely see here where some of these areas down across here are more than likely in this transition zone to see all snow instead of all, kind of a mixed precipitation phase. Everywhere south of there, generally everywhere towards the south and east of there, generally going to see all rain. This might even be pushed a little bit further northward. We'll have to see, or southward, depending if models like the European ensembles begin to trend in the general direction of more snow for the Long Island area. That's definitely a possibility. Not saying it's going to happen, but definitely a possibility. Generally, though, we're expecting in this general corridor, we're expecting a fairly significant snowfall event where upwards of 1+ feet of snow could occur. All right. With that being said, hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon, evening. Of course, I am Michael Romali. I'll talk to you guys again some more tomorrow.